Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Call hello Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Kawadash. Double honors, of course, go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, who through the Holy Spirit continue to give us His truth. Salutations to the fellow Akim, all right, including the apostles, bishops, and elders who are out there on the highways and byways pushing this truth across the four corners of the earth, trying to wake up the remaining, hopefully, elect. This is non-mom with the DC camp, and as you can see from NewsBreak, history, British Israelism. Yes, these nasty Caucasoid troglodyte Edomites think so highly of themselves. It says, is the belief that the British royal family is descended from the biblical King David of Israel. Really? Nah, not even. Here you see this, all the pomp and, circumstance. Anyway, it says in Wikipedia, British Israelism is described as a non-mainstream belief. So, this is just something that's on the fringe. It says that claims that the people of Great Britain are descended from the 10 lost tribes of ancient Israel. No. Those will be the people that were over here on this side, as was described and started in let's get it real quick. I want to be able to point to it. Let's see. 17. Let's start at the top. 2 Kings 17. All right. Verse 1. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hosea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Most High Yahweh, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hosea became his servant and gave him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hosea, for he had sent messengers king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land, and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. In the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria, and placed them in Halah and in Habar by the river of Gozan, and in the city of the Medes. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against the Most High Yahweh their power, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh king of Egypt, and had feared other gods, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom the Most High cast out from before the children of Israel, and of the kings of Israel which they had made. So many warnings against this. What first comes to mind is Deuteronomy 7, starting at the first verse, all right, and reading on down, all right. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against the Most High Yahweh their power, and they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city. And they set them up images and groves in every high hill and under every green tree. Idolatry. So I'm going to skip down to around 20. And it says, and the Lord, 16, and they left all the commandments of the Most High their power, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worshipped all the host of heaven, and served Baal. And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, and used divination and enchantments, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of the Most High, to provoke him to anger. Therefore the Most High Yahweh was very angry with Israel, and removed them out of his sight. How did he do that? It's going to tell you. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only. Also Judah kept not the commandments of the Most High Yahweh their power, but walked in the statutes of Israel, which they made. And the Most High rejected all the seed of Israel, and afflicted them, and delivered them into the hand of spoilers, until he had cast them out of his sight. For he rent Israel from the house of David, And they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king, and Jeroboam drave Israel from following the Most High Yahweh, and made them sin a great sin. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam which he did, they departed not from them, until the Most High removed Israel out of his sight. And he said, by all his servants the prophets, so was Israel carried away out of their land to Assyria unto this day. Now here's the point. 24. I had to give you that history. A cycle which Israel did, a repetition, constantly going off, idolatry, worshiping other gods. All right, and this is the point. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cutha, and from Ava, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. So now they've been displaced, and they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. Now this actually is the beginning of answering John the 4th chapter. And it says, and brought men from Babylon. What are we talking about? Cushites. All right. And from Cutha. Now we're getting into Elamites. All right. It said, and so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there that they feared not the Most High Yahweh. Therefore the Most High Yahweh sent lions among them, which slew some of them. So what did they have to do to sum things up? They had to bring in a Levite, and he taught them what to do. All right. And then the lion attacked stock. But let's follow this up and go into, I'll come back to this where I was, into the Apocrypha, because you need that to get the understanding. 13th chapter, and let's go down to around 39. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king. Did we not just read that? 2 Kings 17th chapter. All right. Hosea here, or Hosea is Hosea. It's the same thing. Whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land, meaning the Americas. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, which was in, all right, Samaria, and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, which was on this side of the world, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river, for the Most High then shewed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. When you look at a map, when you look at, let's see if I can, map. Let's see if I can see. World map. It doesn't matter in this case because the geography hasn't changed. Let's see. All right, so when we get right here, let me see if I can blow this up. Amazon's not gonna let me do it. Let me come out of that. Let's see. Wayfair. Let's see. Let's try this. All right. Yeah, this will let me do it. So here, let's see if it'll focus here. Let's see. All right. So Iran. Let's see right here. I wish I had a where you see Tehran and Basra and all that. All right. This is where they came out, came down, came around Qatar, Abu Dhabi. All right, came out of there, went down through the Horn of Africa, Somalia there, came around. It says it took them about 1.5 years, all right, to get where they were going, all right, just to give you an illustration, Mogadishu, all that, all right. So continuing on, it says, for the Most High then, oh, that's what I meant to go further, where it says held back the flood. Let's see if, let me get another angle here. We have to go deeper. Let's see. I want to get one of Africa. Hold on. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see if this one will come up. Okay. You see right here. Come on. Focus, focus, focus. All right. Remember I talked about the horn was some dang gummit. Come on now. I think this is going to get about as clear as I can get. Going down along the horn, along the coast, you got Madagascar, can't miss it there. That huge They call it an island. Going through there, come on down to the bottom. This is one of the most of the two treacherous places, all right, these capes, all right, in the world. This is where talking about he held back the flood, all right, or the storm, all right. So they will like keep on around here and hit South America here, and they split up. They did not come through the Bering Strait. All right, the scriptures here are telling you. All right, it doesn't take you it's crazy. It says, for the Most High then shewed signs for them and held still the flood, all right, till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. The same region is called Arsareth. Arsareth. That's talking about this side of the world. All right. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. So who are they? These mother effers, these pale, sickly looking, wicked pieces of shit over claiming to be royals. They're not even royals. Look at this. This is what King James can look like. This is the actual image of King James. This is supposedly in the London Museum. All right, the King of Scots, which in itself means dark skin. All right, this is the Negro Question Part 4, The Missing Link. I think it's 5 or 6 out now. You get all these. See, this is the true royalty. This is the Stewart line. All right, they knew they were descendants. They knew they were Israelites. They were referred to as Jacobites. Yes, for all you, with this fake. And this is what the mission of Oliver Cromwell was, to drive our people out. And this began that transformation of where you see, of course, originating with the Renaissance, so-called. But that whole period, it didn't just happen overnight. This took time, all right, to put our people in putting our people in slavery. And there was a switcheroo, all right, to the point where you got this, after Queen Victoria, all right, who was the last of King James' descendants, and then through marriage, or intermarriage, whatever you want to call it. This is how these Edomites got up in there, and then that 1901 proclamation. That's how these things got up in there, what you see today, refer to themselves as royal. Look at that. Torturing our people, cutting the babies out from the wombs of the women. This was all done to Jake, that piece of shit Oliver Cromwell. All right. Look at all this. Wales, Britain, all this. Look at that. That's our history. That's not theirs. These are frauds. All right. Some more history. Nature knows no color lines. All right. And I have the book that this came out of. The book that the pictures, Fairbairn's crest, the one that's in the Library of Congress. These are Jakes. These aren't Edomites. All right, see all this? Is it any wonder why our people are such low esteem? Because they don't know these things. The picture on the front, Queen Charlotte, the front of the book. These coats of arms, and it's so sad. Our people don't even want to know this history, the Hottentots, all this, all right? How they're manipulated now through music and I mean, it's so sad. But the game is being, it is to them a sick, twisted game. But Psalms 83, how do you keep a people down? All right, oppressed always. All right. This is what's done. And all our people, all they want to do is play ball, anything to do with a ball. That's what they got our people doing. I remember the late Dr. Frances Cress Welding, formerly here of D.C., she used to talk about that. She wrote the ISIS papers, and she was a child psychologist here in the district, She said, dealing with people, talking about so-called white people, with a serious inferiority complex. And this has been the history of these devils, going all the way back, What do you think the story of Haman, what that was all about? Mordecai, Mordecai didn't give him his props like he ought, the respect he thought he deserved. Look at this, who was an Israelite, Mordecai, who was an Israelite. So what did he do? He sought to try to trick the king into killing off Israel, but it backfired as usual. Even here, the Jewish Almanac from 1980. All right, they even tell on themselves in here. These people aren't, And then you get into they claim to be descendants. Then you got to go to Jeremiah 22nd chapter, which I didn't want to make this video that long, but talking about the curse, where make him childless and all that. And then because Zedekiah, well, what happened with him when he was bound? He was blind. His sons first were killed in front of him. So it's like, okay, well, where did the lineage continue? And you have to go to let's hold on. Let's go back to where I was. So let's go real quick to Matthew 1st chapter. Let's scroll on down here. That gives you the lineage, genealogy of Yahushua. All right. Let's scroll on down here. 5, and Solomon begat Boaz of Rechab, and Boaz begat Obed of Ruth, and Obed begat Jesse, and Jesse begat David the king, and David the king begat Solomon of her that had been the wife of Urias, and Solomon begat Rehoboam, and Rehoboam begat Abiah, and Abiah begat Asa, and Asa begat Josaphat, and Josaphat begat Joram, and Joram begat Ozias, and Ozias begat Joatham, and Joatham begat Achaz, and Achaz begat Ezekias, and Ezekias begat Manasseh, and Manasseh begat Amon, and Amon begat Josias, and Josias begat Jeconias and his brethren about the time they were carried away to Babylon. And here is the clitcher here. And after they were brought to Babylon, Jeconias begat Salathiel, and Salathiel begat Zerubbabel. And there is the continuation. Zerubbabel begat Abiud, and Abiud begat Eliakim, and Eliakim begat Azar, and Azar begat Sadak, and Sadak begat Akim, and Akim begat Eliud, and Eliud begat Eleazar, and Eleazar begat Mathan, and Mathan begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Yahushua, who is called Hamashiach. So there you go. All right. So let's go back to this. It says, along with this belief system, British Israelism claims that the British royal family is of direct lineal descent from the house of King David of Israel. Hopefully, we've squashed that. All right. Thus, the British throne is just a continuation of King David's throne. Also, in these books, they tell you that modern Jewry is what? Of Edom. All right. Like I say, they tell on themselves. You just have to know where to look. And first, to be willing to look, all right, and not believe this bullshit. So you have a bunch of people running around here calling themselves Jews. They run a con and continue to on the world. People are paying to maintain this lie, essentially. And a lot of it's due to Edomite / so-called white supremacy. When it comes right down to it. It's as simple as that. They have to believe that there's something important about them. No, it's really not. They're just a bunch of thieving, murdering, recessive gene, backwards people that are cursed from the Most High. All right? And are trying to, or have tried really, really hard to conceal who and what they truly are. But now all that's coming out. All right? I've got another video I'm going to try to do before the end here. These people have no idea, some of them, the shit or the amount of harm they've inflicted to other people. They're just not finding out these things through various shows. Like I was reading an article earlier about the Green Book. Some so-called white people didn't know these things. What, you mean it was so bad that because they think what we're saying, that what we've been telling them, that we've been fucked over for so long, they think it's a joke. They think we've been, we're all lazy and, all this. Like they played absolutely no part in the condition that we're in now. But in any case, that's another video. But anyway, it says tracing the lineage of the British royal family using the Bible is supported by institutions such as the New York Genealogical and Biographical Society. Who runs all this? Who owns all this? See, Jake doesn't, of course, anything to maintain this lie. All right. The society claims that the royal line began with King David and remains unbroken. How can that be when they're a matriarchal based? In other words, they go by lineage by the mother. That makes absolutely no sense. So how can you trace anything? King David's descendant, King Zedekiah, did we just cover that, was the last king of Judah, and it was his daughter that provides the link to Britain. All right. So it's not saying that there would be no more children in that curse. It's saying that they would not ascend to the throne. All right. And then until the time that Yahweh Shah came, and that's exactly what happened. All right. So here they go. Their theory is that King Zedekiah's daughter, Tia Tepe, was taken to Ireland in the 6th century BC, where she married a local high king of priests. All right. So what's the point? That right there interrupts that so-called lineage, because your lineage is by the male. Long as that male line is not broken, then there you go. So they, like I said, they tell on themselves. You just have to let them write and talk long enough, and it's going to be revealed. All right. So that's, that really is it. And I'm going to end there. It says, today the British Israel Royal Federation continues to promote British Israelism. The association still proclaims that the British monarch is the regent upon the throne of David. Wow. Upon the throne of David. No, King David is going to sit up on it when he comes back. Stick to the scriptures. All right. That's all you got to do to debunk all this shit. Anyway, so that's just what it is, shit. Once again, British Israelism is the belief that the British royal family is descendant from the biblical King David of Israel. Ain't that a bitch? So once again, I hope whoever views this is edified. You got to be able to tear shit like this apart, because the world has been mesmerized with these frauds for so long, thinking that they're actual royalty when they're not. All right, they're low-class cave dwellers. That's it. Hey, so with that, shalom.